Hello everyone. Today we'll be starting with our course, the theory part of our course. For the sake of today's classes, we'll be just studying the first unit, and that is the basics of agricultural finance. All right, and I'll be providing you with some reading content also, which you're supposed to read during the class hours. First, I'll explain it through the by the way of the slide. Just watch it and then go through the content, and you'll get a basic understanding what agricultural finance is. You can see there are some details of mine here. I am Dr. Sanjay, as some people have not heard about in the course description video, and this is my mailing address. And if you want to contact me during off hours, please contact only through emails, and if you want to contact me through WhatsApp, please try and text only and only during your class hours. Alright, not apart from it. So let's start with our first unit. First, we'll be studying what is agricultural finance, how is it defined, and what इसके अंदर है क्या क्या, what is the scope. That means एक smaller level पे, that is a farmer level पे, and at a large level, that is a country level, how do we relate agricultural finance, why do we need agricultural finance, what is its importance, and the role of agricultural finance in Indian agriculture. We'll try to update it as the course goes along with some current data. But for the understanding purposes, theory would be enough, and I have added some examples, so it should be quite comfortable for you to understand it. Just note, there are some content in the PowerPoint which you will not find in the books, so try to go through it and then through the books. Alright. So how do we define agricultural finance? These are two guys, two scientists who defined agricultural finance is in quite a concise manner. That is Murray and Tandon and Dondal in 1953 and 1962. So you just can see how old this topic is. Murray said that it is a study of borrowing funds by farmers, how the farmers borrow funds from banks, and how these lending agencies organize and operate, and what is the benefit of society in providing credit to the farmers. Alright, this is quite concise. Economic study, that means the cost and benefit of borrowing funds by the farmer. Whenever a farmer borrows funds from a bank, how the banks provides it, how they work, and once the farmer borrows it, how does he manage it, and what are the costs incurred in borrowing, and how the farmer is benefited by borrowing these loans. That means how much of his income increases, and what is the interest of society. That means why the society as a whole should provide credit to the farming sector. Okay, what is the benefit of the people as a whole, what is the benefit of the whole country. And then comes Tandon and Dondal. He said this is a branch of agricultural economics, just like other branches, such as agriculture marketing, natural resource management, production economics. It is one of the branches which deals with provision and management of banking services and financial resources. Okay, that means money, where the money will come from to provide credit to the farmers. Provision and management of banking services, that means provision means providing, let's say, banking services, opening banks in different areas, and how those banks are managed in day-to-day routine. Okay, so there is a lot of information in this slide. First, it is an economic study of borrowing funds by farmers. What are the costs incurred by the farmer in borrowing funds, how much money did he spend to borrow money from different sources, did he gain from it, how much his income increased in different enterprises, how these lending agencies are provided, how they organize, operate, how they are managed, and what is the benefit of the society, what is the benefit of the country as a whole in providing loan to agriculture sector, or you can just say it is at a branch of agricultural economics. Okay, so what is important here is, in memorizing these two definitions is not very important, but if you memorize it after understanding, that is good enough, because you'll be having a lot of information. You can just write here if whenever you're asked of your definition, let's say person X defined agricultural finance as this. If you have enough information here, that thus becomes your definition. Alright, so first, your definition of agricultural finance. You first try to understand the basic things: economic study, organization and operation of lending agencies, okay, society's interest, branch of agricultural economics, how the banks operate, where the money comes from. This is some information you can just, this is some important information which you can just understand and make your own definition. Alright, then we'll go to composition. What is finance? Finance is not just loan. Finance comprises of loan plus different types of services such as insurance that is provided, different types of deposit services, subsidies, assistances. But in agricultural finance, we'll be focusing on only on credit. Okay, let's say credit. These are some small description of each of the part. Credit is provided for production, that is for raising crops, okay, for investment, that is for buying tractors or different machines, or making your big farmhouses, storehouses, all right, these kind of things. So just to remember, it's not very good kind of a drawing. And subsidies is given on credit, that means in the for normal people the rate of interest is 10% on a loan, but for farmers it is 4%. That means this gap of 6%, that means they are getting loan at a cheaper rate of interest. Insurance, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, okay, that means the insurance premium, let's say for a normal person, if he wants to get his land insured, it is 10,000 rupees per hectare, but for a farmer it is 1000 rupees per hectare. This is hypothetical data or made up data, it's not genuine. Okay, so just for the sake of understanding how subsidy is given via insurance premium is reduced. Okay, so you have to pay less to get your crops insured. Fertilizer subsidy, fertilizers are provided if you want to, let's say fertilizer, most of the fertilizers are imported in India. Let's say their cost to the government is 1200 rupees per quintal, but the farmer is getting it for 1000 rupees per quintal. That means the government is bearing the 200 rupees gap. So the farmer is getting the fertilizer at a cheaper rate than the actual market rate. Electricity, let's say electricity, the farmers are charged rupees 200 per month, irrespective of the amount of electricity they use. This is all this hypothetical data, but it is for the sake of understanding how subsidies work in the credit sector, insurance, fertilizer and electricity. Then comes deposits. Different types of deposit as general public works. The farmers didn't have the facility of banks in their nearby areas, but the banking services are expanding in the rural areas, and the different types of services such as savings and transfers, okay, and ATMs, checkbooks, these kind of things they are getting. These are different deposits and other services. Assistance is PM Samman Nidhi. Small and marginal farmers are getting 6,000 rupees per year for helping them to cover the cost of production of crops. Okay, then comes, so this is the composition. What is agricultural finance? What is credit? That is production, investment and different types. Insurance, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Deposits, subsidies on different sections, that is insurance, credit, fertilizer and electricity. Okay, so and assistance, that is PM Samman Nidhi, but we will be focusing on credit only. Okay, Let's go now to the next slide, that is the scope of agricultural finance. How is agricultural finance related to individual farmer and to the country level? For individual farmers, agricultural finance means managing the individual farm business. Okay, how he manages the money he has in his farm, in his business. Okay, uh, what are the sources where he can get the loan from, how much money can he get, how much time does it take, how he should allocate, that means how he should distribute credit into different uses so as to get maximum profit. Alright, now at the macro level, providing budget, annual budget. While the annual budget is being given out in each February, some money is also allocated to agriculture. Okay, so how much of the money is allocated to agriculture depends on different things, but at a larger level, this is the first step, providing money to the agriculture as a whole. Then comes making new policies according to needs and opportunities. Let's say farmer need to install micro irrigation, they are supposed to be provided subsidies. The government wants to export more and more of basmati, so they are supposed to provide cheaper loans, or can say quicker loans to people who are exporting basmati. Alright, so that they can expand their capacity. Understood? Then in setting up cold chains and stopping paddy stubble burning by way of providing assistance on machinery. Alright, then these things, I'll say, whenever you want to make an improvement in any sector, in maybe of any type, people of those sectors, especially agriculture, don't have that much of money. People don't have much money to invest in micro irrigation, cold chain, paddy stubble, stopping themselves from burning paddy stubble. So government needs to intervene and provide money through different sources, so that the needs are taken care of and opportunities are also benefited from. How much money should we allocate to agriculture sector, and which areas are we are supposed to focus on? So first is financing, that is providing budget for agriculture, making new policies based on needs and opportunities. How much money should be allotted to agriculture sector? See, there are different sectors in the economy: agriculture, industries, and can say micro MSMEs, and financial sector, services sector. How much money should be given to agriculture sector, and especially to which areas? Some regions of the country are underdeveloped. Some enterprises, let's say poultry, dairy, beekeeping, these are to be promoted among the farmers. So this money is allocated first to agriculture, and then let's say we have to focus on Bihar, we have to focus on beekeeping. So money is provided to farmers, to those farmers or to those entrepreneurs who want to get into this business. Okay, where the funds will come from, that means where the money will come from. The budget has been provided, but where is the money going to come from? Is it going to be borrowed from banks or different international institutions, or is it will be taken out of the tax collections of the country? How to disperse the allocated money? Let's say the government has decided we have to provide 12 lakh crore, but for this purpose. Okay, purpose is dairy plus crops plus can say micro irrigation. How we are supposed to disperse this? First, it will be given to NABARD, that is National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. Then he will give to commercial banks, or it will be given through regional rural banks or cooperative banks. So what is going to be the step down procedure, how the money is going to reach the farmer and how it will be monitored. Alright, so this is the scope of agricultural finance at micro level and at large level. At larger level, providing money to the agriculture, allocating budget, where the money will come from, how the money will reach them, how much money should be allotted and where to focus on, and making new policies according to the needs and opportunities. At micro level, managing the farm business, what are the sources, how much money, what is the timing, how much time it will take, and how to allocate the credit among alternative users. Okay, then comes why credit is needed. In the past slide, if you have heard of the discussion in heard discussion properly, you might have some idea already why do we need money. First of all, the most important thing is we need money because our farmers have small land holding due to land fragmentation. That means due to inheritance, father has 10 acres of land, he has 4 sons, each has 2.5 acres. Okay, so and then each of them has 5 sons, then 0.5 acre each. Alright, so this is called as land fragmentation. Because of the following problems, first is small land holding. Because the land holding is small, farmers are able to do only subsistence farming. That is, they are only able to do farming to fulfill their own needs, not to sell. There is low marketable surplus. Let's say he has 100 quintals of wheat, okay, from the 5 acres he has. He needs 80 quintals for family. How much is he left to sell with? Only 20 quintals. So this is called as low marketable surplus. That means the produce remaining after meeting out the family needs. Then risk aversion. Farmers do not want to take up any new enterprise because they are already small, and if they lose money, they will be devastated. Okay, high demand for consumption credit. That means farmer needs money for different types of their can say problems, that is marriages and let's say general use, household use, other social functions. Alright, that means let's say किसी को अपनी रिश्तेदारी में the local term is भात भरना, ठीक है, or helping some of their friends or some medical issues. Because the farmers are poor, okay, they need money to just survive. Alright, and we have to provide credit to them because this farming is not very beneficial, has not remained very beneficial even for the large farmers. So so small farmers are already screwed up, so that's why we need to provide them credit. They are not able to offer security. Some people just can say lease land from others. Okay, this is not their own land. So banks don't provide credit to people who do not own land. Okay, so if somebody comes in without any land, he takes a loan, and if we give him a loan and if he doesn't repay, so what does the bank have? Banks need to have some kind of a security. Alright, this security, that means if the person defaults, they can sell their land and recover their money. So small holding, subsistence farming just for their own needs, low marketable surplus, home consumption is too much, they're not ready to take risk, high demand for consumption credit for different uses because they do not have money at all, and inability to offer security. Let's say people who don't even have any kind of a land. Then comes any kind of a technology that is being provided to farmers. Most of them are quite expensive, so they're out of reach of the farmer. They are technology is provided to people to increase their income, but what if the technology is expensive? They cannot access the technology. That's why we need to provide them credit. Alright, credit for, let's say, tractor or implements, so that they can use these things and increase their income. Okay, then share of agriculture in the economy. 60% of the people are directly employed in agriculture. Alright, so we need to take care of such a large population, and all average income of all of them is quite low, so we need to take care of them, because this is such a large part of our economy. That's why we need to provide them credit with credit. Population can say pressure and resource productivity. Because the farmers are quite poor, let's say resource we will be talking about water. Right now most of the people are using flood irrigation. This will lead to depletion of water. Okay, most of people are using flood irrigation, that to groundwater. Depletion of water. Saving, how can we save them? With micro irrigation, but this is expensive. That's why we need to provide them with credit. Alright, so you see, resource productivity. To save the water is being used in flood irrigation. It is not highly productive because most of it is lost due to transpiration, evaporation, and I can say weed, and can say percolation into the ground. If we want to increase productivity, here means, let's say, productivity. What is water productivity? Water productivity, let's say the yield of wheat was 20 quintals, and how much water did we use? We used 2 million liters. Sorry, just remove 2 million liters. So this is the productivity of water, of each liter of water. And what if you use micro irrigation? This is for flood irrigation. Okay, and this is for micro. 20 quintals of wheat was produced using, let's say, 2 lakh liters. So the productivity of per liter of water is quite high in micro irrigation. This is called as resource productivity. This water is just an example. Other resources are also mismanaged, I can say overused in producing crops when they are not used properly or in a layman manner, in old fashion. Population pressure, because population pressure here we directly mean is increase the production. As the population is increasing, we need to increase production, and for increasing production, resources are limited and they are being poorly used. So to increase production and use the resources productively, we need to access technology, which is expensive. For that we need to provide credit. Okay, to save the farmers from getting exploited by private money lenders. So this guy, the name here is Sir Chotu Ram. Do read about him. He is quite famous because earlier the Sahukars used to provide liberal credit, that is easy credit at high rates of interest. People were not quite educated, and which led to land grabs and forced sales. And these Sahukars grabbed the land of people who were not educated, whom they indebted by giving more and more credit, and that's why most of the land was owned by these Sahukars prior to independence. Sir Chotu Ram somehow got the land back to the agriculturists, that is to the farmer, from these Sahukars. That's why this personality is quite famous. Do read about him. Okay, he is quite important. So let's say we'll do one thing. I'll make a group, okay, from roll number 1 to 4. This is your assignment. Contributions of Sir Chotu Ram. Okay, so roll number 1 to 4, you're supposed to make a presentation on this topic. I can say assignment on contribution of Sir Chotu Ram. Alright, in agriculture, or you can say farming society. Understood? So this is your first topic. I will not be repeating it again. You're supposed to take it up from here and submit your presentation by, let's say, 15th September. Alright, roll number 1 to 4, this is your topic, this is your deadline. You have to make a PPT or a video or anything you want. It should be quite comprehensive. Let's move on to the next slide. So these are the different reasons why do we need credit. Credit is needed for let's say credit was needed because of the following problems and opportunities, and also it is needed because of these things. First is because of this, second is because of this. Credit, this is a higher financing institution, National Bank for Agricultural and Rural Development, the highest institution for agricultural finance. It will give money to banks and other government agencies. Okay, for what purposes? Let's say banks and government agencies are spending on or financing infrastructure projects. Bank is financing an infrastructure project. Bank is giving loan to a company who is building warehouses, irrigation channels, rural roads. Okay, so banks provide money to these companies at some rate of interest, and let's say the bank spent rupees 10,000 crores 10,000 crore on warehousing, building warehouses. Okay, building warehouses, that is giving money to companies who want to build storehouse. Okay, let's say individuals, they want to invest in it, they are taking a loan from the bank to build a storehouse, and the banks have provided the credit. So in a complete year, let's say the banks provided 10,000 crore rupees, NABARD is going to pay back that money to these banks. Okay, this is called as refinance. First the banks will finance the person who wants to invest in certain infrastructure. Okay, and then NABARD is going to provide this much of money to the banks. Actually, NABARD has said to the banks that please finance people who are trying to work in this sector, because we want to develop storage capabilities. Okay, then employment generation, it helps in employment generation. Credit, when credit is provided by NABARD to these agencies for food parks, cold storage, cold chain, processing units, there is a lot of employment generation, infrastructure is being made. It helps in reducing poverty also. When the income of people increases, their standard of living increases. This promotes innovation. Okay, let's say there is some person coming with an innovative idea, the banks are financing it, and NABARD is giving money to them back. So it promotes innovation. Sustainability, please go through this link, there must be something important in it, that's why I have inserted here. The another sources, first is money going from NABARD to banks so that these objectives are attained. Then the money going from banks to farmers directly for buying or renting inputs. Okay, increasing income by taking up different enterprises, is a beekeeping, and I can say different type of livestock farming. Increasing the productivity of their resources, as I said, in resources such as water and let's say mainly it is water, and what other resource, let's say manual labor. You can buy a machine and increase the buy a machine, and the same person now can work on a lot of land. Earlier he was able to work only on 1 acre, now he, with the help of that machine, he is able to cover 6 acres, 7 acres. So this is the increased productivity of that labor. Expensive technology adoption, that is the same thing. This technology can be adopted by farmers by way of credit. Entrepreneurship development in allied fields. Allied means agriculture and allied fields. If people want to make up their own livelihood, let's say you are graduates and if you want to go for can say different if you want to go for your own setting up your own business in agriculture, ठीक है, you are graduates, you want to set up your own business, so there are some schemes such as agricultural credit ACABC scheme. Okay, so in agricultural graduates can get 25 lakh loan, alright, which has a subsidy on it also. So these are different things. Why do we need credit at a large level and at a smaller level? Then comes the significance. It is more or less the same thing, repeating again and again, just for the sake of different sections I am making it. Increasing productivity of scarce resources, technology adoption, developing infrastructure such as roads, electricity network, irrigation network, fertilizer and pesticide plants. See, this thing here is NABARD is going to give money. NABARD is going to ask banks to finance or give loan to people, agencies or government institutions working on these areas. Okay, so once the banks gives the money to can say to these agencies working on these areas, NABARD is going to provide the money back to the banks. Alright, this is called as refinance. Banks give loan here, then these banks will recover money from NABARD. NABARD is going to say this, let's say, okay, I said you to finance these things, you finance, take the money now. Okay, because NABARD does not have direct no direct banking outlets where people can go and just take loans. Okay, so it asks banks to give loans and then can say makes up for the loan given by the banks. Reducing economic imbalances, this is important, that's why credit is important. Let's say Haryana is quite developed and Bihar is underdeveloped in terms of agriculture, so when we make a flow of more and more money towards Bihar, farmers are going to get richer there and this imbalance is going to be can say corrected. Inter-farm asset and wealth variations. Inter-farm, let's say between the farms, some farmers in some areas have more and more farm assets because that government is providing different assistance schemes and that's why they are wealthy. So that scheme can be diverted to or can be made equal in both the areas or among large and small farmers. You can, let's say, provide cheaper machinery loans, okay, micro irrigation loans or any other kind of technology adoption. So these small farmers with the help of cheaper credit can get different assets. Assets means these machineries and implements you have, these are your assets. So the variations are reduced between areas and between different types of farmers. Making forward and backward linkages. Forward and backward linkages mean let's say a farmer is used to buy inputs and seeds from different shops and then he used to produce and then he used to sell. So farmer is doing only farming. Let's say he is trying to produce seed of his own, that is a backward linkage. Let's say he is trying to sell by himself, that is a forward linkage. But for that purpose he needs to have money. Alright, he needs to have credit. So credit helps them in making forward and backward linkages. Agricultural, sociological and economic development of the country and its people. Let's say when the agriculture develops, its production increases, people get more and more food, we can earn money by selling that food. Social development, that means when people have more money they are going to live in a harmony. And economic development, this is more or less the same thing, and that is raising their standard of living. Now what are the problems faced in providing agricultural finance for banks and for farmers. For banks, they face that most of the farmers are illiterate, and the location of many banks, let's say in tribal areas, hilly areas, it is not able to open up branches there. Small land holding here, that's why there is subsistence farming, low marketable surplus here. They're not able to provide security, they do not want to take risks. Subsistence farming, people don't keep records, that's why it's not easy for the banks to assess how good a farmer is in managing his farm business. Credit diversion, this is an important topic. Taking loan for something and using it for something else. Let's say you're taking KCC for crop production, but you're using it for a marriage. So ultimately you will not be able to pay it back, and the bank loses money, and the bank is not going to provide credit again and again. Then for farmers, and for the farmers, what are the problems? That is a limitation for themselves also. They are illiterate, and there are different types of formalities they need to fulfill before getting a loan. There's quite a long list. Timeliness, farmers need credit at the moment of time, at the very moment. Let's say he needs to buy inputs to sow a crop. If he gets money after 10 or 15 days, the sowing time is gone. So he needs credit in a very short window of time, and which is quite a problem because it takes time for the bank to assess the credit worthiness of a farmer and give the loan. Consumption credit, farmers need credit for farmer needs money simply for different things because they are poor, and if you're going to give them loan for something and they don't have money to fulfill their other needs, they're ultimately going to divert the credit. Okay, so this is all about your first unit. First of all, you need to just click on these links and open the hyperlink, or you can just click on them directly. It will take you to the file which you need to read after looking at this video to get a detailed understanding. All right. Okay. Again, I'm here. So let's say this is the second link. You also need to study this. So we just went through unit 1. What is the basics, scope, why do we need it, and what is its importance. All right, and what are the problems that I just added, because it is also important for you to know. So the basics for agricultural finance is covered. If you still have any kind of a doubt, please don't hesitate to contact only during class hours in WhatsApp group, and otherwise please contact through email. Okay, thank you very much. If you have any kind of a suggestion for the further videos, please do let me know. Don't hesitate at all. And if there is some kind of a voice issue or anything else, please don't hesitate at all. And thank you for your first class. This will be all for today. Please go through it once or twice, and do take care of the assignment. All right, thank you very much.